Well, hello everyone, and thank you very much for tuning in. We're back with another budget build. Now, this is quite a challenge, so you've probably seen in the title that I would like to try and build a capable esports machine, okay, for around £150/$200, including the monitor. So this is quite a feat. This is going to be quite a challenge. And the reason for that is this video is shot in mid-2021 when there is a worldwide silicon shortage. I keep harping on about it. Everybody does, but you know the score. And as a result, used parts, their prices are through the roof. And as a result, doing a budget build is quite challenging. So I thought to myself, why not do it? Let's see what we can actually put together. Let's see what we can achieve. Now, the thing is it's very easy. I'll say it's very easy. It probably isn't given the current market, but it is a lot easier to just go and buy an MATX case, MATX motherboard used from somewhere, you know, with maybe a fourth or a third or fourth gen Intel processor, some DDR3, and, you know, stick, I don't know, a GTX 650 in it and call it a day. And that's going to be able to run things like Csgo, that sort of stuff. But that's quite boring. I want to try and find something that's higher spec than that, but I also want to build it into something that's quite bespoke. So previously we've done the briefcase PC. That went down really well with people. And I thought to myself, why not do that again? But I thought that's a bit repetitive. Let's try and do something quite different. And hopefully, if my plan comes into action and I can find the sort of case that I'm looking for, we should be able to achieve just that. So the plan right now is we need to go and try and find some hardware. We are starting from scratch, so we need literally everything from the case. So the little element on the case is I want something kind of, I guess, a little bit retro and a little bit, I guess, never really designed for gaming. So something kind of more office-based that we can modify. And then I'm looking for a newer generation of processor, ideally a 6th gen Intel. But with an ITX motherboard. So I'm doing a budget build with an ITX motherboard. On the whole, ITX components tend to be more expensive. So again, a bit of a strange mix, but I'm going to need that ITX board to make sure the case idea that I've got is going to work and work well. That's also going to mean we need DDR4 memory, not DDR3, using a 6th gen Intel. And then from a graphics perspective, it is an esports machine, so it doesn't need to be completely overkill, but I'm thinking at least a 750 Ti. That's going to run things like Csgo, Rocket League, that sort of stuff perfectly fine at this price point, which is what it's all about because it's really, really cheap. The other challenge is definitely going to be getting a monitor as well as getting a power supply that's going to fit into the case and setup that I want to kind of do. So wish me luck. I guess the next thing is then to get online, do a hunt and see what components I can find. This is the case that we've gone with. So it's an ITX case with included power supply, with an integrated VESA mount for a monitor. So it's definitely an office-based unit. It's not in the greatest of shape, but we actually managed to get it for a really good price by making an offer on it. It's going to take a lot of work, a lot of fettling. I think we're going to have to change a lot of the stuff that's in here. But we will find a way, we will make it work, and I think it's going to be quite a cool build. Next up then, in terms of motherboards, we got a bundle. So we actually got an Asus H110 Plus motherboard, which is an ITX board, nice and small, but it's coming with an i3 processor and 4 gigabytes of RAM in the box. Now, interestingly, after making an offer on this and it being accepted, they've actually upgraded the CPU from an i3-6100 to an i3-7100, which actually is really good because a 6100 is 2-core, 2 threads, whereas a 7100 is 2-core and 4 threads. So a worthy upgrade and works quite well. It comes with an I/O shield, which we're not going to use. But yes, a great bundle to get us started and get us going. Graphics cards, we are looking at this Gigabyte GeForce GTX 750 Ti with a low profile bracket. I'm hoping that might mean I can fit it a bit better. We shall see. And we got that on an offer of £45, which, you know, is quite reasonable given the current market. Now the monitor, that's interesting. I can't show you a picture of the monitor because we got it for free. We got it for free off Facebook Marketplace. And it's got a little trick up its sleeve that I'm hoping is going to give us good FPS. Other than that, I just need to pick up another 4 gig stick of RAM and we are good to go. I will see you guys at the build. Okay, everybody, welcome back. It's about a week later. All of the parts are here and around me. You actually join me in my father-in-law's workshop. I've kind of enlisted his tools as well as his expertise, shall we say, because this case, whilst I think it's cool and it's a little bit different for a budget build, it is going to require quite a level of fabrication to actually make it work. Now, the reason for that is that actually this case, whilst it was designed to take an ITX board or a mini ITX board, it wasn't designed to take a graphics card, let alone even a low profile graphics card, because it's designed to be used with integrated graphics. This was more of an office workhorse rather than a gaming PC or anything on those lines. So a lot of customization, not just that, as well as it's got a bit of a boring look. So we're going to be vinylly wrapping it as well. Don't get me wrong, this is still a budget build, so don't worry. We aren't starting to spend loads of money on fabrication. It's really cheap stuff just to get it looking pretty decent, and that's kind of what it's all about. So yeah, you join us as part of actually getting everything put together. I'll do a close-up shot of this where actually at the moment we have got a lot of the components already into the unit, and within that essentially we're just kind of mapping out where everything's going to go before they sit in their permanent homes. You'll probably be asking the question about how we've managed to get a power supply for this. So we've used a kind of a bespoke server style power supply, which is quite small, delivers enough power because we're using that 750 Ti, which actually draws its power straight from the PCIe slot, rather than having an external 6-pin or 8-pin. It's drawing all of its power through the motherboard, and actually this is quite a low power in terms of wattage device. So that server grade power supply, which actually is only 250 watts, is more than enough to power this whole unit. So yeah, there we go. Let's get into this. Let's make sure that we get the build done. And I can't wait to show you guys the final product. Before I go any further, a massive thank you to my father-in-law for his expertise and the use of his workshop. We've been here before. We did the briefcase build here as well. So yeah, over the moon to be back here again doing this. Let's get on with it. Well, there we go. In my opinion, I think we've done it. So this is the completed PC, or custom all-in-one PC. It was a hell of a build. It took some real fabricating to get all of the hardware into this case, but I think it was worth it. It's completely different. It's very small form factor in a way. If you're limited on space and limited on budget, this is a great choice. So let's recap that specification. We've got an i3-7100 CPU, which is actually dual core, but 4 threads. A real good find, actually, in terms of the price, because obviously that came with its ITX board, 4 gigabytes of RAM, which we've upped to 8 gigabytes of RAM. An absolute win. We've got a 750 Ti. We ended up going with a Gigabyte low profile 750 Ti, hoping that that would be easier to fit in the case. it was pointless. We might as well have just gone for the full height, because even the low profile one still didn't fit. So we had to do some fabricating to make that work anyway. Let's talk about speeds. Okay, so let's be honest. This isn't the most powerful gaming PC in the world, but it's sub $200 or £150 here in the UK. The monitor. Actually, let me just quickly touch on the monitor. As I said before, I actually got the monitor for free, so that was an absolute bargain. And it's ideal for an esports machine. So resolution, it's 1440 by 900, so it's not quite 1080p, but it is 75 hertz, which I think is an absolute bonus. And I think for esports, having that higher refresh rate is actually potentially a bit better than going up to the 1080p on a lower refresh rate. That's just my opinion anyway. But it was a free monitor and it fits it really well. It looks really good. So from an FPS perspective, because we're on 1440 by 900s, we should see generally a higher FPS. And that's kind of the experience we've got. Let me give you an example. So Csgo, that we've just got the loading screen on here, in game at 1080p, a 750 Ti should get between about 105 and 120 FPS. Whereas at 1440 by 900s, this is actually kicking out about 180 FPS. So quite a step up by just slightly reducing that resolution. Obviously, even if it was 1080p, it's still maxing out the refresh of this monitor, but it works well. Then you look at things like Fortnite. So Fortnite at 1080p, you're looking about 45 to 55 FPS. This isn't in performance mode. This is just normal Fortnite. Whereas actually running at this resolution, we're getting in the region of about 75 to 85 FPS. That's on medium settings, which is quite reasonable, you know, that's quite good. Going back to Csgo, that's actually on high settings, so all shiny there. Things like GTA, so a DirectX 11 game, so GTA 5, that one again at 1080p, you can expect about 35 to 45 FPS using this hardware, but going down to that resolution, we were actually seeing in excess of 65 FPS, again at medium settings, so completely playable, and definitely a solution if you've got a limited budget. What I'm actually going to do here real quickly, I'm just going to exit out of Csgo here and just going to run a live benchmark for you. So just a quick one. So we're going to run Nova Bench. I like Nova Bench because it's a real quick test and it's something that can, if you're doing sporadic hardware changes, you can very quickly see if it's made much of a difference. But let's fire this up. So this tests the full suite of hardware, so your RAM, your CPU, your GPU, your disk speed, all those sort of bits and pieces to give you that kind of overall score. Now, don't get me wrong, you know, my personal rig, which is rocking a 5950X and an RTX 3090, will score over 7,000 in this, but this is irrelevant. On something like this, you know, to get anything over 1,000 at this price point is a good place to be. So while that test is kind of running there, I want to just say thank you then again to my father-in-law for his support in getting this done, using his workshop to make sure that we can get all of the fabrication done and get this all set up as it might be. The hunt is what it was all about for parts. It was trying to find things at the cheapest cost. Now this goes for anything. If you're looking to buy or build a PC for less than $200 or £150, or in fact, actually, if your budget's £3,000, there's no point in paying over the odds. Make sure you shop around. Make sure you find the right thing. Don't pay scalper prices. Don't encourage that market because with enough patience, even in the current market, you can still get something pretty decent. A 750 Ti, I picked that up for £45, as I said before. In my opinion, that isn't particularly cheap, but it is cheap in this market. And it works really, really well. So look, that's just banged out a score there of 1,390, which is great. That's actually good for this system and this unit. And the real surprising part on this as well is that it actually runs, so a game I play a lot at the moment, it's become quite popular, is Rust, but Rust is really graphically intensive. And their main graphics overlay goes from 1 to 6 in terms of quality. And on 4, which is actually quite reasonable, this still gets over 60 FPS. Which I think again is down to that 1440 by 900 resolution. So overall, I think it's been a complete success. But before I conclude everything, let's just get a bit of glam footage, shall we? Okay, so there you have it, a budget build in mid-2021 that is perfectly fine for esport gaming for less than $200, or around $200, should I say, about £150. I think it's been a complete win. If you've got any questions or anything you'd like to know about this build, or if you just like some advice, stick it down in the comment section below. And I want to thank you for taking the time to watch the video. I know at the moment a lot of people are frustrated around the tech market because of all of these shortages, and you've taken time out of your day to watch this video, so thank you very much. If you want to support the channel at all, if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. I think we produce some really great content here, specifically around budget builds and some interesting tech stuff. Hit that bell icon, be notified of any future videos. You can support the channel in other ways. Obviously the subscribing is free, but if you want to, you can head on over to that randomgeekyguy.com, pick up one of these Stealth Traces t-shirts. That supports the channel. There's also a donate button on there as well if you just want to donate and support us that way. Other than that, like I said, if you like this video, thumbs up. If you dislike it, thumbs down. Any questions you've got, stick them in the comment section below. I've quite enjoyed this one, guys, and I'll see you next time.